Thomas Pynchon's fourth novel, Vineland, was published in 1990. It was the novel that came out after Gravity's Rainbow. Pynchon had famously taken a really, really long time. I believe it was 18 years between finishing Gravity's Rainbow and then publishing his next novel. And the anticipation, people had such anticipation for what he was going to put out next. And when he put out Vineland, the criticisms of it were almost universal. People were disappointed. People started bandying about the term Pynchon light to describe this. Uh, I wholeheartedly disagree with that critique. I think I've read four of Pynchon's novels. I've read Vineland, I've read V, his very first novel, I read Crying of Lot 49, and I've read Inherent Vice. I have tried many times to read Gravity's Rainbow, and I just cannot seem to get past page 300. And what I think usually stops me from finishing a Pynchon novel is there's a pile up of just zany things, intertextual games, jokes, um, and to go along with that, a lack of heart, humanity, soul, whatever you want to call it. Just more of an emphasis on being brainy and less on sort of appealing to the reader's heart. Um, I certainly felt that with Gravity's Rainbow, the parts that I was able to get through. I felt that a lot with Crying of Lot 49, even though I was able to finish it just by virtue of it being not that long. But with Vineland, it the reason I loved this book is because there is a real human story here. There is a real family drama at the heart of this. The character Zoid Wheeler, when the novel begins, he is planning his latest act of public insanity so that he can get his mental disability check from the government. And while this is obviously a crazy premise for a story, and it's on the book jacket, the version I have, um, the structure of this novel is such that there's not really much forward progression in it. The novel kind of moves in a circular way, and by the time we get to the end, I think that zaniness at the beginning, there's much more humanity to it, and there's a deeper understanding of why Zoid is doing what he's doing, and it's actually deeply sad what he's doing. It's when the novel begins, when we don't have context, it's kind of goofy, but when we circle back at the end, we really understand um, what why he's doing what he's doing, and it's deeply sad. Um, the not what I also love about this novel is Pynchon's women in this novel are really great. More complicated than any of the women that I've of his women that I've come across. The character DL, one of my favorites of his just altogether. She is a really interesting character. Highly recommend reading just for her sections alone. And then Pynchon's, and then Zoid Wheeler's daughter Prairie is also a really fully fleshed out, relatable character. So I'm very suspicious of the reviewers who highlight the craziness of this novel. I think in some ways they're missing the point. I think kind of the point of this novel, at least as I understood it, is that this novel kind of begins as someone slipping on a banana peel, which someone slips on a banana peel, it's funny. It's funny because we cut away. But the longer we stay with that person who has slipped on a banana peel and we see them on the sidewalk and they're crying and they're in pain and they needed medical attention, it starts to become more serious. And I think that's what Pynchon was trying to do here, which was pick some crazy premise and then have us sort of go on these long flashbacks where we then come to a deeper understanding of why everyone's doing what they're doing, and it leaves us in, I think, a really human place. In other words, I don't think it's accidental that this was the novel of all of Pynchon's novels that he chose to dedicate to his parents.